Hey everybody, this is AAE Murphy with a follow-up to a video that I did a little bit ago. It is Easter Sunday here in North America, and I realized after this really lengthy video that there were a few things that I had not spoken about that I really needed to address. I promised you I would talk about tools, and then I went on a tangent and started to go on a little bit of a rant and didn't talk about tools. So this is for anybody who might have fibromyalgia or know someone who has fibromyalgia or know someone who has one of those diseases, lupus, chronic fatigue syndrome. I want to just back up real quick and let you know that my diagnosis was in 2015. I wrote the book Viral, A True Story of Epidemic Flu, Fear, and Faith in 2016. In the last video, I kept saying 2006. That is a classic example of fibrofog. And not only did I say it once, but I said it twice. So I wrote the book in 2016. I was diagnosed in 2015, but I didn't talk about fibromyalgia too much at all in the book. In the book, I talk about acquiring the H1N1 swine flu, and my husband getting the H1N1 swine flu and being ill, and the after effects and the consequences of being so sick for so long. He was in a coma for 33 days. I was hospitalized on the flu floor in isolation. Very, very long story. Good story too. I really am not talking to you today to sell the book to you, but it is a really good read, and it will give you some insight into how I got to today. So I wanted to talk to you about tools. If you are struggling with fibromyalgia, I started a video I think it was last week, and it's called Two Hacks for Fibromyalgia. And the first one was to love yourself unconditionally and accept yourself unconditionally and forgive yourself unconditionally. That is where healing starts. It starts deep within. It starts in ourself. We cannot look to anybody else to heal us because there are no cures for fibromyalgia. And there's really not even, I think there's some kind of diagnosis that a doctor can give you, and that there's maybe a checklist, but there's no cure. And so we have to manage the symptoms. We have to manage the pain, manage the fatigue, etc. So the first way to begin healing, it is 4 years now since I had been diagnosed, and I was not always this healthy. Even after my diagnosis, it was a long haul, and so I don't want to give the impression to anybody today in that previous video that I just did about Easter. I didn't want to give anybody the impression that I just think it's easy just to make up your mind, to just get out of bed in the morning and just start your new journey. And I didn't want to be all airy-fairy like that. I did not want to give that impression at all, and I apologize. I also apologize. I don't want to appear arrogant, and I don't want to appear that I know it all. I don't know anything, really, except I know what works for me. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. That's all. So if you need to take medication, I'm happy. If you get the medication and it works, that is wonderful. I know a lot of people who are managing their symptoms, taking medication, and doing well. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a blessing. I was diagnosed, and I immediately went on one prescription, and I took that for several months, had a really bad reaction to it. So I changed. I remember the doctor saying, when you're messing with your brain chemistry, you're going to have these things happen. And I just thought, whoa, I can't do that. So I took the second medication, but I eventually took that for, I think, about 6 months. And I'm not recommending it. I'm not suggesting it at all, but I weaned myself off of that medication when everything that you read about it says you shouldn't do that at all. And I did it totally wrong. I weaned off using the wrong dosage. It was terrible. But weaning myself off of it gave me control, gave me a sense of control. Like, I'm going to take control of the situation. And that's why I started to talk to you about fibromyalgia and taking control. And I use that in the subject line, in the header for the video, control, because it is managing, I think, our health. I think there is something about control, and I'll speak from my perspective only. To me, it was very empowering to feel like I had some control over my illness. I'll just be personal with you. I have felt probably since childhood that very little things were within my control, right? So there's this psychological term, and it's called either internal or external locus of control. And it just means when you're working with children, for example, that either they perceive the world as controlling them, or they have a perception of them being able to control their environment. And I think I had an external locus of control when I was growing up, and that worked into my adult life. So when I was diagnosed, first of all, the illness that caused me to write the book, right, and all the ramifications of having the illness, that was one thing that was totally out of my control. And I speak about that in the book, about how random it is and arbitrary it is, that some people can be in the same room at the same time when someone who's infected with H1N1 or the flu are in an elevator, for example. And how come one person gets it or two people get the flu and other people don't get the flu? Yes, we're not going to talk about vaccines, but yes, of course, vaccines are a factor. But all things being equal, I did talk about how it is that my husband and I both got the H1N1 virus, and we're both hospitalized at the same time. And, you know, he ended up 100 times worse than I. But he now is on the road to healing somewhat. He is on full disability, permanent disability, and I have fibromyalgia. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was, as part of the first hack for fibromyalgia, is you got to love yourself. You have to look at yourself in a loving way, nurture yourself first, honor yourself first, pay yourself first, if you understand what I'm saying. I heard somebody say, if you want to do something good for somebody else, do it for yourself first. So I started to do that, and that was just recently. That was just like the last couple of months. I've just started to do that. So my healing, the road to my healing has been super, super long. I don't want anybody to think that I just think it's going to be a breeze. It's not. It's difficult. It's a challenge every single day. If you have it, I am sorry. I know that I know what you're struggling with to some degree because of where I've been. But it's 4 years later, and I am off of all prescription medication. I am sleeping well. I am living a good quality of life. So I want to encourage you and tell you there's hope for fibromyalgia. The second hack that I spoke about in the video from last week was control your mind and change your mind to change your mind to change your life. And I spoke about that in the last video, so I won't get into it too much now. Go back and look at that video, change your mind to change your mind to change your life. I didn't mention in that video about changing your mind how to do it. So since I wanted to talk about tools earlier today. I want to tell you one of the tools is positive affirmations. Again, I don't want to sound all airy-fairy, but this is free. It doesn't cost anything. What could it hurt? You might as well try it, right? So positive affirmations, first thing when you wake up in the morning, first thing, say something positive, despite the pain, despite the fatigue, despite how you feel like crap. And I still struggle in the mornings. But positive affirmations kind of flip a switch in your brain. It flips the script, and it causes you to engage your body. Your mind engages your body, right? So I did talk about this recently, and I'll talk about it again because I think it's a really pivotal point. It's really important and germane to this conversation. Our brain responds to our thoughts as if they were reality. Okay, so if we think that we're miserable and we tell ourselves that life is miserable and think this is hard, then your body is going to respond that way. Okay, if you are afraid of something, if you convince yourself you're afraid of something, your body's going to respond with fear. It doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and what you're experiencing. Okay, so perception is so important. And as we know with fibromyalgia, our pain receptors are messed up. So I think we really need to get back into the mind and control our thoughts first. One of the tools that I wanted to talk about in this earlier video from today, this Easter video, was not so much to not accept help, but to when you are lucky enough, fortunate enough, blessed enough to have someone who helps you, to be in gratitude, in a state of gratitude for that, for as long as you can sustain it. Gratitude is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. I feel like it's cliche now, right? The attitude of gratitude and having a gratitude journal and all that, that was like a decade ago, right? So if you can do that, I'm advocating for that too. It's good to be grateful. It is good to start off thinking about the things that we do have and parts of our body that do work, rather than the things that we don't have and the parts of our body that don't work, or that work with a lot of struggle, okay, with a lot of pain and a lot of anguish. Start small. That's another tool. Start very small. Start with small steps. Literally, if it hurts, as with me, walking was nearly impossible, but I was determined to beat it. And I just said, you are not going to take me, fibromyalgia. You have done enough to me. I am claiming my life back. So I started to walk. I started to walk my dog. And at the time, the pain was so extreme that it felt like every single bone in my both feet were broken. And I walked through it anyway. And I'm not here to tell you that I'm some hero. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just saying that's what it's going to take. I understand where you are. I understand how difficult things can be, but it's important to take that first step and to build on your tiny little successes. Okay. So gratitude tools, 2 hacks. I have 2 more hacks coming out. I have a YouTube channel called Fibromyalgians. I am on it right now. And I also have a Facebook page called Viral, A True Story of Epidemic Flu, Fear, and Faith, which is the name of the book that I wrote. I'm not sure if I can reverse this YouTube channel back onto Facebook, but I sometimes post videos on Facebook and upload them to this channel. Please like and subscribe on this page, on this YouTube channel. And if you click the little bell button, you will know when I'm doing a new video. I plan to do hack number 3 and hack number 4 in the next couple of days. I try to do at least 3 videos a week. I really wish you a good day. I hope you're having a moderately pain-free day. I hope you're managing to celebrate the holidays with loved ones. I wish you joy and peace. Try to find something good in today. Try to find something joyful every single day. That's really key. Okay? I'm sending love. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with you soon. Take care.